Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to what could be the final game in the League of Legends Championship here at the 9th Esports World Championship in Busan, South Korea. My name is Rapid. I'm here with the Preacher, and after one game in our best-of-3 semifinals, the South Korean team put themselves one game away from taking the trophy you just saw and the championship title.
Putting themselves in match point is always a good place to be, but you got to take a look over on the other side of the rift, and it's the Serbian squad, right? So you got to take a look at them, and you got to say, now is the time to show your mental fortitude, because you are one down in a best-of-3, but you can potentially make it back. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I reckon the drafts are good. They just need to take away some of the key characters, like Jace, away from this game.
Like Jace, yeah, maybe no character more key in that last game than the Korean Jace performance. For Serbia, either limiting the South Korean champion pool or learning how to play against it, adapting to realizing, hey, this is a very strong pick. We need to find a way to deal with it. They were really unable to in game number one, and even with strong performances from their jungler, whose name is slipping my mind momentarily, Stefan. I remember the Sama, but not the Stefan.
Yeah.
His Jarvan the Fourth performance got them off to an early lead, but that was quickly erased with the strength of Kimchi's Jace in the top lane. So champion focus, player focus, lots of focus going in here to our second game, which should be getting underway here momentarily.
I mean, if we're going to be talking about taking the Jace off, just hypothetically, following this hypothetical train of thought, then the one champion that you'd have to replace in the ban phase would be the Ornn. And do you really want to give Ornn away to Kimchi? That's yet another question that they have to be asking themselves. Which one do they fear more? The person who can impact the team fight and maybe potentially win the whole game from there, or the champion who could just take 2 inhibitors and win the game from that part? It's a very difficult choice for them to make, but the best idea that they could possibly have is to have their mental fortitude and to not be freaked out after the very first game.
If you have a Jace performance like that against this team, it's one thing, but I don't think it would be reasonable to expect a snowball like that to roll or to start to roll against any of our other either amateur or semi-pro teams. So teams, once they ascend to a certain level of prestige, a certain level of success, you learn how to sort of stop the bleeding, right? You got to put some vitamin K in your system. You just really got to stop the flow. And for Serbia, that was something they were really never able to in game number one. So either you figure out a way to let them have the champions that they need and then counter that, or you're forced to go into the draft phase and say, well, how do we change things here to prevent that? It's a little bit rough at this particular point in the meta on this patch to limit your opponents from having any one of the very strong champions they've shown that they can illustrate.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's going to be the most important thing as we go into Champion Select very soon.
Game number 2 getting underway here. Champion Select starting right now. And for our Serbian team, they will have to make a difference here. We'll see how they adapt to it and whether or not Korea want to make an adaptation of their own. Maybe taking away the Jarvan the Fourth. They are on the red side, so they will at least have to ban the Kalista.
Of course, and that means that Serbia is open to ban away pretty much anything to their liking, to the point where they can make sure that they can have a very good game. They've already started out with the top lane ban in the Gnar, and I wouldn't be surprised if that trend continued.
Certainly would not. There's the Kalista ban from Korea. No surprises there. Gnar and Jace really targeting Kimchi up top for Korea, and you can really tell where Serbia's focus is.
Yeah, they also take away the Ornn on the Korean side, which means that we don't even need to ask that question anymore. Now, the only real big question would be which one of these teams ban Galio, and if they don't, then will it be an absolute priority first pick? Because we know for almost certain that nearly every single team prioritizes Sejuani once everything settled down from the ban phase.
Well, Galio isn't quite as strong as he has been. He was the recipient of a little bit of a hot fix lately, so toned his Q down a little bit. But for the time being, he's still been on the ban list for quite a while. There's the Azir ban. Will we see a Galio ban? Serbia gets the first pick, and Galio is open.
Yeah, so you got to imagine that they have to prioritize it. If they want to go for something other that's really strong, like for instance the Sejuani jungle, you can only imagine that Korea would be smiling at that point, because that way they get to ban away the one champion that they get to pick away the one champion they didn't even need a ban.
Well, you can imagine it will be a Galio here, or some other stylistic choice, because Serbia is sort of going back to what worked. They got the very strong Jarvan IV champion pick for Stefan Sama. It worked in game number 1, but it was the only thing that worked, and so they will need to complement it with other champion picks.
Bringing it back. What ain't broke, don't fix it, but it does leave away the Galio and also the Sejuani. I mean, that would be one of the strongest first rotations that you could possibly imagine. They go for their ADC because they want to be safe. They don't want to be banned out in the second ban phase. Will it work out for them?
You don't want to give too much away early on. If you pick a Galio this early, then maybe there's potential to see what you can do against it. There's an Alistar, so just grabbing the bottom lane, potentially. I mean, it worked pretty well for South Korea, and it's going to have to work again, because those are their choices. And now, sending 2 picks over to Serbia, the champions that we've been talking about as being the strongest, things like, either, I guess Malzahar is not quite the same, but Galio specifically has been banned quite a bit this tournament. That's available. You could even maybe put Jarvan up top and pick a Sejuani, although that rotation is probably not something that Clowny is too comfortable with. Really, we're going to have to see an AD carry and support pick, just because that's the way the kind of meta dictates. It's going to be a Caitlyn there for Ploxy. What is Baxauer going to grab for Tasteless?
I mean, this is going to be one of the trickiest situations, right? Because you could pick a support in this instance. No supports get banned away in the second ban phase, like, for instance, the Braum. But what happens is, if you picked a Galio in that instance, then you would just have the Jarvan and Galio combination. It would have been one of the strongest ones that I could ever foresee. But now that Korea has had their chance, if they don't pick it away, if they don't pick away something like a Sejuani in this pick phase either, then everything else will have to get banned.
There is the Sejuani pick, most likely going to be locked in. Yep, jungle, support, and AD carry grabbed for both teams on both sides. So at least that much is standard. But honestly, that really scares me for the next couple of picks, because for Korea, you know they have a very aggressive top laner. So picks like Yasuo, like Riven, are both very, very possible for Kimchi. And we saw what he did with Jace. What else does he have up his sleeves?
Rapid, do not play with my heart. I would love to see a Yasuo or a Riven just absolutely style in this game. But you know, it's always a double-edged sword. There is no possible way for Rivens or Yasuos to go neutral. It's either they go ridiculously ahead or ridiculously behind. I know that you've personally experienced this in your solo queue. It's just the way that League of Legends works. But you know, a whole lot of top lane priority, a whole lot of top lane respect being shown by both of these two teams in the second ban phase.
Certainly is. Going to see both a Kassadin and Cho'Gath, the bans from Korea. I like that they're taking the Kassadin away from Baxauer. You saw that he was at least comfortable with playing it against whatever Gore he wanted to bring out. And even though there's the Azir ban this time, they don't want to give him the opportunity to go for anything that might be a key counter pick.
Yeah, and they're just trying to save all of their bases with these bans.
There's that Riven ban, showing the respect. Not going to let Kimchi at least pick that to style, but like I said, Yasuo is still open. We'll see if he wants to go for that. You can see a little bit of a smile on his face in the booth.
It does leave away mid for the first rotation, though. They could go for something like a Taliyah, which is extremely strong. The only other counters, now the Kassadin is off the table, would be something that's just equally as strong in laning phase, like a Syndra, for instance.
Right, and I think Syndra is kind of the meta pick if you want to just totally go along with what is expected. On the other side, Ryze has shown up quite a bit at Worlds. He is still very strong, but whoa, that's a Lee Sin. Most likely in the jungle for Stefan.
I cannot believe it. Lee Sin is one of the champions that has the trickiest time of the game at the current moment. He doesn't particularly have a very strong window. It's only between 1 to 5, and I'm not talking about levels, I'm talking about minutes, and you've got to spend 3 of them clearing your own jungle, so it's very tricky. But Serbia
is as well. They're just really throwing it all on the table. If this works, it works in their geniuses, and they bring it back in the series and breathe new life into their chances here in the grand finals. But I mean, it really would take quite a bit to make it that. It's a Fiora.
No.
The final lock-in going to Kimchi.
And we talked about it, Rapid. We talked about the top lane trying to put everybody else on their shoulders. Riven was banned away. They didn't quite feel like a Yasuo, even though they had an Alistar, but they go for the Fiora. Fiora also has this equal carrying potential. Once you get to level 6, once you get past that little bit of a hurdle that is your early game, you're good to go. However, looking at these lanes, you you got to say that Serbia actually has a pretty nice early game. So this works towards their mentality. They always like to play win lane into win game, and they've drafted to do so.
50, 60, how many kills we going for this game, Preacher? It's going to be a lot with as aggressive as the lineup as these two teams, if I can say the words, have drafted. You know, we only have 10 more seconds left into this, but that's going to be the longest seconds of both of these teams' lives as they look towards what they had to prepare against. For Korea, you can tell that Kimchi is very confident in his aggressive picks in the top lane. Well, now he's being met with just as much aggression coming back his way.
And that's going to be really hard to fight against as we get into the second game. Could be match point of this game.
I mean, it is for Korea. If they do pick up this victory, then they will advance to be the champions of the League of Legends competition here at the 9th Esports World Championship. South Korea dominant in this discipline for basically as long as I can remember. And so as we grace the city of Busan with such talented competition, this is where it might end for our Serbian team. Now, granted, if they win this game, they become the second team only in this tournament to defeat the Korean lineup. That would be huge. The momentum would shift totally, and that is the burden that they have on their backs coming in to game number 2.
So now that we're on the Rift, they need to finally prove their worth. This is a blank slate. Nothing from what happened last game comes through onto this game. They've all picked winning lanes, and they should be able to get a good lead. Now, you got to take a look at the way that they've actually composed their team, and it works out very well for them. I've talked to a whole lot of top laners back in my home country, and they've all said that Jarvan works very well into Fiora. He wins the lane all the way until they go back, and then whatever first back Fiora gets, she usually starts winning from that point onwards. So if Clowny can keep her in lane, then he should have a very good time. And equally so with the mid lane. I also like the teleport pickup from the Fizz, because you got to say, Talia, using the Weaver's Wall, going all around the map, roaming around everywhere, the teleport can most certainly match it as well.
I mean, the ability to turn maybe a 3v3 into a 5v3 is really going to come in clutch. And when you add to that equation two very strong, very aggressive picks, it's going to be a nightmare to deal with that much flexibility. However, Korea have shown that they can deal with basically everything that Serbia has thrown their way. And really a lot of my eyes are going to be on Stefan Sama in the jungle. He excelled in game number 1, but he has a lot on his plate here coming into game number 2.
Yeah, and also the most important thing is this is now no longer a game in which you want to hold your cards close to your chest. You've got to play every single one that is available, because if you do not, then you could potentially be bumped out of this. You could go home second place, which is nothing to scoff at, but you came here to win.
Oh
and
no, they're not expecting the level 2. A split second dodge there. No concussive blows for you. The turnaround forcing a flash out from Stefan. Not the way that gank was expected to go.
They wanted to cheese it. The level 2 immediate rush on red buff straight into the gank. Unfortunately, it was a flash into a pulverize. Ignite for good measure as well coming out from Arcane, and this could not go any more punishingly for Stefan. As you can see in the jungle, his opponent in Che is just farming up nicely and having a good time.
Top lane Clowny not doing so hot. He actually skills shield level 2, so he won't have the flag and drag, which is a great aggressive option. He's trying to play an aggressive matchup defensively, and I don't know if that's really a recipe for success.
I mean, he got punished a whole lot in the early game, so it kind of makes sense, and now he is within an inch of his life, but he's not the only person in this lane.
Wouldn't be surprised at all if Chang went in there to try to get the kill, but won't actually be that greedy. That's kind of hard to justify. So he returns back to base. Clowny does as well. And the first teleport usages for both mid lane and top lane for Serbia will be defensively to make it back to lane.
Hey, and as far as a good first purchase goes, if you need to go back and come back to lane immediately, it has to be in the Corrupting Potion. You use all 3, you go back to base, you get a full reset. That's an effective 500 extra gold that you got in your back pocket. However, you have to be able to use it properly. He's also got the control ward. He hasn't placed it yet, and that could have potentially been his demise.
Could have been. Now here in the mid lane, we're looking for aggression there on Nagori. He does still have flash. He's going to use it to get back to the turtle. Lots of damage coming down, and it's first blood for Stefan for the second game in a row.
And there is no response at all. Chang knew that it was roughly going on, but only as it happened. He couldn't chase the situation, he couldn't get a retaliation, and it all worked out for Serbia.
A nice knock up there. Top lane not working out for Clowney in either match. Still just having non-stop aggression thrown his way. Kimchi is more than happy to keep the aggression coming. He is playing with such disrespect for the opposing jungler. He knows that he was just mid lane. I guess he did have a ward scout him heading top lane, so it's justified now, but I mean, we saw the way he played Jace. It's not going to hopefully work a second time around.
I mean, you say that, but then again, Cast a Curse has always struck us before,
That's
Rapid.
true.
And if you take a look at the way that this matchup is currently going, Kimchi is using the most out of the most recent Fiora buffs. So she got buffed on 7.21, 2.0, I believe, in which her passive now gives her 45% extra movement speed instead of 30%. She's just running laps around Clowney at the current moment, and she's even calling Chang around to help up.
And as soon as this wave hits the turret, you know Clowney knows what's coming. He is going to be the recipient of a not 1v2, but a 1v3 as soon as Gory gets here. They're not even going to wait for him. Clowney actually, with a surprising amount of health, Chang actually very low, but perfect tower trading. It's going to take him down there. Not only one, but now 2 kills coming the way of our Korean lineup.
Did you see that, Rapid? That was insane. Chain tanked it. He barely took any damage from the turret because of his passive, left as soon as that happened, and then Kimchi tanked 2 shots, and then even used the riposte when Stefan thought that he could have potentially traded. That was one of the best outcomes that Korea could have had in the top lane in the 2v3.
Absolutely incredible. And now recalls back to base. Look at that. That's 1, 2, 3 waves hitting the turret simultaneously down to the bottom lane. We've got an Ignite going on. Foxy very low, and he's going to get taken out. Arcane, the one to take the kill. Now in the mid lane, we're looking for an outplay, and it is coming to Serbia. They find a victory in the mid lane. Will they find another kill in the bottom lane, or another death, rather? Trying to lock things down there, but it's not going to come out there. Arcane doesn't want to get stunned up under turret, and so he will back out. Now Stefan Sama coming out on the bottom lane, looking to maybe turn it around for himself. Concussive blows will be a big factor here. The Unbreakable allows Tasteless to survive just a little bit longer. The jump in, the concussive blows are down. Will he get the auto attacks that he needs? It's Boxer coming down, and he will actually land the fish on Whoopie. The alley-oop for the Whoop. He's taking him down and picking up a double kill for Serbia.
And while Stefan and also Boxer went down into the bottom lane, you gotta give huge props over to Tasteless right over there. He just went full beast mode. He 1v2'd the entire bot lane, put up his Unbreakable, and actually walked into the other direction, exposing his behind straight to the bottom lane. Doesn't even matter. Lee Sin comes, safeguards onto it, protects him, and then Fizz also arrives to pick up the double.
Oh, look at Chang. He is going to land a perfect point blank, almost ultimate right there onto Stefan. Nation Prism is going to lock him down for a little bit longer as he heads back to base the hard way and loses a red buff to Chang.
Yeah, Chang was just waiting there, so methodical, so patient. He actually looped around the Raptor pit as well, as we see a 1v1 on the top side.
Yeah, actually going to land several passive procs there onto Clowney, including a full ult charge as well. So a lot of damage being done, and even if that doesn't result in a kill, the message is sent: Clowney, get out of my lane.
And he also either has to use his teleport back in order to match experience, or he falls massively behind in experience by walking up and saving it for the next team fight. It's a catch-22 Rapid, and it's not a great situation for Clowney. You can already tell that he barely did any damage to Kimchi in that 1v1. It's not because he wasn't auto-attacking her, it's because there's already a Ninja Tabi available for this Fiora. That's pretty much the only damage that comes out of a Jarvan. The flag drag is there for the mobility and also for the knock-up. You don't do it for the damage. Your autos are the only thing that are really hitting her, and you don't even have those going for you anymore.
Reminds me of maybe season 2 or 3 support builds here from Jarvan. It's like, well, what am I going to get? I'm going to get wards. I'm maybe going to get boots. Maybe another luxury item like a Doran's shield, but that's really all he's able to afford at this point. And then, of course, potions. So Clowney really kind of living that budget life. He's going to need to, I don't know, find some way to find the income, or at least just stay alive. Now with the way that the wave is bounced, he's able to he's going to face a huge wave coming towards his turret. He knows what that looks like. He's been there before, and it hasn't worked out very well.
Oh, mate, look, my college life, it wasn't that great, but it was much better than his. At least I got to eat something every single day, and this guy, he is just waiting for the waves to collapse onto his turret. It's not a good feeling, but at the very least, you can pick up some of the CS. If you take a look at him, though, he's still level 5, and that is so punishing going into a Fiora who used to roll and can use it again pretty much before he gets his.
Pressure on the bottom lane, being backed up from the jungle by Stefan. You know, Stefan had a great performance in game number 1. He's continuing to perform here in game 2. Bottom lane, that's where he's at. Top lane, Chang is the one to make the play, but wow, beautiful outplay there by Clowney, able to dunk himself back towards the second tier turret, but it's a second tier. They're losing the first tier up at the top lane. That will be first brick for Korea.
Yep, meanwhile in the bottom lane, a teleport comes in, a double from blue side.
Yeah, beautiful play there. Whoopi going deep for it. Tasteless now the one in trouble as Stefan faces a lot of damage coming his way as well. He will drop, so will Tasteless, and now it's only Boxer coming down to try to help his duo lane survive.
You could see the theory that came out of their Rapid. He wanted to tag Gory as he was coming down with the Weave as well to maybe make an exit with his Q. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit too short. He doesn't connect it, and he falls down to Whoopi's auto attacks. This is an early game Tristana with just a BF sword, and this must be one of those situations where Stefan, he's been punished in his own jungle. He's been punished in Korea's jungle as well. He must be wondering where exactly he can go.
Whip on the ultimate in the mid lane for Boxer, and now Gory is totally not afraid, as in unafraid. He has lots of courage going up against that Boxer. It's just a little bit of a mistake goes a long way, and so now the pressure is gone in a matchup where, you know, Serbia really needs to maintain it. They're just looking for an advantage anywhere on the map. Korea is not letting them find it.
Yeah, you can see that Boxer is their one saving grace, getting solo kills all the time in the mid lane against Gory. Gory is somebody who needs to play so defensive to the point where he's actually purchased a null magic Negatron cloak in his very first back. I mean, this is a ridiculous situation in which he is just playing so safe. He wants to get an Abyssal because that is the best way that he can potentially face up against his Fizz. Yet the fact that Fizz can't get the solo kill is something that actually works against Serbia because it's always a ticking time bomb.
And I think even if he wasn't feeling threatened there in the mid lane, Gory might still pick up that Negatron just because it gives him the ability to just not let Serbia have any options. There's just so much stress here from Serbia to find an answer to anything. And now bottom lane, Kimchi, he's doing it again. Looks in for the dunk to try to trap Kimchi in. He will dash out, and the heals are too good. Mid lane, trying to find this lockdown on to Boxer, and he will make it out alive, but you know, not without a little bit of stress coming his way as well. The ward jump forward, the smite to try to land the Sonic Wave. No resonating strike to follow as it does miss, but now Kimchi smelling blood in the water.
Oh, you gotta do this, Kimchi.
I mean, nobody tells no to Kimchi. He is going in over and over again, and he keeps making it work.
And he's even 1v1ing after he just 1v1 Rapid. This is a ridiculous situation. This guy got so many turrets on his own before, and he's looking to do so again. He just dodged the turret.
Are you kidding me? What on earth? Is anything impossible? Kimchi does it all.
He just used his riposte onto the kick.
Wait, no, that's the what? Okay, that's not the order you're looking to use the flag and drag in. That is the ultimate flag with no drag. And as you might imagine, that is slightly less effective. So no follow-up there, no punish onto Kimchi. He lives to fight another day.
That was just so ridiculous to watch. The read on Stefan. I mean, you cannot react to it, so you have to predict it. The fact that he knew this Lee Sin was going to use his Q, then R, then Q again, and then just blocked it all out with his riposte to get the stun under the turret. Words escape me when I'm trying to describe this amount of outplay that just happened in the bot lane.
You got to have the skills to pay the bills. And when you're playing that aggressively, when you're picking these very aggressive top laners, you have to have what it takes to use their abilities to the fullest potential. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing it here. A lot of times you can interpret overly aggressive picks and play styles as arrogance a little bit. But it is, you know, it's the best decision you can make if you have the confidence to back it up. And it's very clear that Kimchi does. It's not like he thinks that it's going to be easy. He makes it look that way because he is so good at this game.
Yeah, Kimchi didn't pick this Fiora in order to just, you know, compensate the rest of his team with this pick. He picked this Fiora to dominate, and that's what he's doing again.
Clowny gonna go ahead and get the dunk. A stun nonetheless. Blocking the knock-up and taking down Clowny again.
That is ridiculous. The way that Kimchi uses his riposte, knew perfectly that Jarvan was going to exit on that line and actually stuns him on the way out. There wasn't even a need for Sejuani in that instance.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. How many champions is it going to take to stop Kimchi's rampage? Game 1, we saw what was possible. He crushes a lane, it takes 2 inhibitors. Game number 2, he's picking up kill after kill, and now Clowny comes back for more.
He's got his flag and drag, but there is no ultimate available for Clowny. He's got to be so safe because Sejuani's here as well.
And now look at that extra move speed as well from proccing every single one of these passes. He's going the distance deep behind enemy lines. And he'll find another one. A perfect riposte timing. He gets the stun on to Stefan, and he's looking to try to make his escape once again. Stun after stun, and finally justice will come his way. Kimchi taken out, now Cheng to follow.
But even though they took it out, you gotta say, using the predictive powers of Kimchi once again, that is just ridiculous. However, they do get outplayed. Serbia managed to pick up 2 kills in the bottom lane, and they finally managed to reel it back. But just as they do, the Rift Herald being summoned in the mid lane, getting the inner turret of mid lane, and busting the Serbian jungle wide open for the Korean squad, this is a situation that is very dire and very reminiscent of the first game.
As indefatigable as Kimchi has been, as dominant as he has looked, as unkillable as every attempt to take him out has rendered him, his death has always been something he's planned for. As great as it is to have a 0 in the death column, what's better is having a 2-0 in the win column, and that's also the loss column as well. But for Kimchi, his death is not in vain. His team find a bigger advantage elsewhere on the map, and that is always a victory in the end.
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. It's just a fast way back to lane. I mean, why would you back? That takes 10 whole seconds when you can just tactically die and then just go back. He's already got a Ravenous, he's already got a Sheen
It's all
as
for
well.
a good cause. Wow, even gonna go for the Trinity Force after this? Okay.
That is literally the most luxury buy that you can ever do on a Fiora.
You can call that style points, but you're investing in what works. Going aggressive, killing opponents over and over again. It's been unstoppable so far. But now Kimchi knows he's gonna have to go on the run. He's gonna have the riposte to block the knockout, gets a stun there onto Stefan, but in the end Boxer is too much. 4-0, this Fizz is starting to get a little bit out of control here. Korea, they're playing a little bit fast and loose in the solo lane, but they're still very strategically strong elsewhere on the map going for objectives.
And they are finally making very good reads down onto Kimchi. They know for absolute certain that this guy will go needlessly aggressive. He believes in his 1v1 ability. He believes in his 2v1 ability. You know what you do in that instance, Rapid? You take down 3 people. And sure, he managed to use his riposte in order to block out the fish, but that one's very telegraphed. You can't really give props to that one, and he still falls down in that instance. They finally managed to give something over to Serbia, and Serbia is using a whole lot with what they got.
I mean, all of this is kills, all of this is gold, but really the objectives are what Korea has invested the most in. They find 4 turrets, they find a dragon, and really they're just looking for more. They've started to crack the 2nd tier, and they're still going for it. Gory uncontested in the top lane. There's nothing Clowny can do.
Yeah, I mean, Clowny has always got the short end of pretty much every single matchup. If we're talking about against Kimchi, if we're talking about against Gory, then it hasn't exactly gone the greatest for him. And Stefan knows this. He knows for certain that you leave Kimchi on an island, you leave Clowny on an island, and you just help the rest of your entire map. But the fact that you do so is so punishing for this Jarvan to the point where as soon as he ults, it's pretty much a death sentence for him.
Trying to get out, but look at a huge polarize from Arcane to start this fight. A big dunk forward. Can they turn it around? Clowny looks to be the first casualty. He will flash out right before he dies. It's Cheng actually that falls first with Whoopi very low there as well. In the bottom lane though, no one can stop the Kimchi monster. He takes out the 2nd tier turret with ease, And it feels like the rest of his team is what's drawing attention while he is the one pushing down objectives.
All you need to do is call 5 members of Serbia up. You just say, hey guys, I'm pressing on your turret. You guys should probably stop me. 5 people go up there, and Kimchi is in the bottom lane ready to solo down all of these turrets. You've got the Ravenous for the sustain. You've now got the Phage as well as the Sheen for the turret taking with every single ability that you use. There is nothing that can stop this Fiora if she is left alone with the turret and nothing else to stop it.
I love how he's so valuable, Kimchi, that the rest of his team is the entity that is split pushing for him. Usually as a solo laner, you want to put enough pressure on the map that the enemy team is forced to invest in stopping you. But instead, it's actually the other way around, and it's the rest of the South Korean roster that is trying to draw the attention away from Kimchi so that he can find the most value, and that's taking down not 1, but 2 turrets in the bottom lane.
You can roughly tell how the comms are going right now, Rapid. Chang's just saying, okay guys, can I get a couple of camps? No, I need to be here in order to buy some room for Kimchi. All right, well, I guess I'll have to be in the 4-man squad, but it's working out for them. They're drawing the members of Serbia up to the top lane every single time, and you can see exactly why they're doing so. It's not just for the turret, so this 1v1.
Yeah, 7 versus Gory, but look at that mobility, even on the work route. just
walk up. She's going down. Just walk up.
That's one way to get out of there. Doesn't want to go too far. The rest of Korea grouping around the Baron as it spawns at the 20-minute mark.
That's exactly what they were buying time for. They were taking down bottom lane, they were taking down top lane, just so they could get room on the Baron.
Whoa, perfect mechanic, getting an instant stun there, trying to take Boxer out, but on-target ability is a great ability to have, and he will use it to stay alive. And Serbia actually picks up the first kill, looking for a second one, and they will find it. A double kill for Bloxen.
Bloxer finally managed to get on the map, and now the kills are actually remarkably even up, Rapid. It is now 10 apiece. The only thing that separates is the turrets, but the 1v1 is coming out.
Oh my goodness, and look at the heals coming in. Kimchi more than happy to fight even uneven odds. He finds a second kill. He's looking for more. He gets a last second heal and almost procs his passive to take Stefan Sama out. What on earth are we watching? The cleanup comes through for Serbia, but not before the kills are once again equalized by Kimchi.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, Rapid, but if I had to say so, if Kimchi managed to get that one auto attack onto Stefan, that would have potentially been enough HP to get him back to do one more auto attack, which would have killed him for the dangerous game, which would have maybe given him the chance for the 1v5. This is a ridiculous situation that they find themselves in, and Stefan, he's being punished in his own jungle when he's just trying to get some resources.
Okay, there's Gory flashing away, kind of respecting there. He was way overextended, so he gets out of the enemy jungle, and finally, you know, I'm not sure if this is the moment, but South Korea are going to have to start to slow things down. They have been playing, you know, at a very high, very fast tempo. But Serbia seems to be kind of coalescing and realizing how they need to play their comp to stop what Korea is trying to achieve. Now, I mean, all that being said, Kimchi is coming out with not only a Trinity Force completed, but a BF sword as well. And I mean, really, Serbia will be hard-pressed to deal with a really powered-up Kimchi.
And it's up to anybody's guess what that's going into. It could either be a Bloodthirster or it could be a Guardian Angel.
Infinity Edge?
Maybe not Infinity Edge. Maybe it's the one of the two.
Duskblade of Drakthar.
Hey, you know, anything's possible in this game. I didn't think that he would go and nearly 1v5, but there you go. He managed to pull out a couple of kills.
He's making everything possible. Yeah. He's about to double Flame Horizon Clowny, which is, of course, named after a top laner, Flame, who is able to get consistently 100 CS over his lane opponent. He's working on 200 right now, Kimchi is, and he's more than ready to go. A nice riposte, but no damage off of it. He tries to drop the ult, but lots of damage coming his way. The dunk down, will he be able to dash out of it? Yes, he will. On the run. Look at that Fiora passive. Dash after dash. The cooldown reduction helping him just get away over and over again. He takes on 2 and lives to tell the tale.
And now there are frantic pings coming out from Korea. They're calling the Baron, but they're going for the fight.
Now Tasteless in a little bit of trouble. He's going to be the first one in the front lines. Takes things up, but he dies for it. Lots of damage there onto Arcane, but ultimately he's not the important member here in this fight. Bloxy taking a lot of damage there from Gory. The bounce in from Whoopi, and here comes Kimchi on the other side of the map. A clutch stun again. Bloxy survives, but then again, so does Kimchi, and the rest of Korea back off.
I mean, Rapid, I literally want a montage reel of every single time the Kimchi has used his riposte. That one just stopped the knockup from the flag and drag, which is so monumental in this entire map, because now with the entrances sealed off to this Baron, there is no realistic way that Serbia can contest it. It just goes over free to Korea, and they're trying to pick up the table scraps, which is this Ocean Drake.
Yeah, so they can regenerate when they're out of combat for that 10 seconds of the game. It's been all non-stop action. So like you said, yeah, it does feel like kind of the consolation prize they're getting that Ocean Drake. I mean, you know, maybe it'll matter if they wind up taking the game late enough to get an Elder, but the regeneration, I mean, unless they can regenerate towers or turn kills or deaths into kills, which are unfortunately not the effect of the Ocean Drake, it's going to be an uphill battle even still.
And I think that the biggest part about getting this Baron is the fact that Kimchi can now split with it. We made the joke before about how the rest of his team need to get enough pressure to allow Kimchi to be the one to split. However, with this 1-3-1 composition that they've now got for themselves, Gory can be on the top side, 3 can be in the middle, and Kimchi can be in the bottom. They are applying Baron to every single wave that is coming in. And if we're going to be talking about this wave clear, there's not really anybody on the side of Serbia who can clear all of these waves, except for Ploxy, but he can only be in one place at any given time.
Now, we were surmising the item that the BF sword would go into. It's a Guardian Angel, which is still a weird sentence to say, but the change is there, and it is going to be a defensive item. Well, in a manner of speaking.
Believe in yourself. If you believe hard enough, you could turn a BF sword into a defensive item.
Hey, there you go. He's going to be able to get the revive, but I mean, I don't even think he's going to need it at this point. He's proven so unkillable. And I mean, the 3 in the death column really does not tell the tale of how many times he's escaped certain doom.
Yeah, and more to the point of that, the rest of his team have been slowly chipping away. Now with Baron buff, it's gone much faster.
We're going in, but as Clowney goes in, he might go down in the same motion, and there he goes. The first death for Serbia, but can they find any more? Tower goes in, but gets back out just barely alive. Foxy has to run for the hills as Kimchi comes for him. Can he stop the unstoppable? The run forward for the riposte at the last second. I'm so confused, but in the end, I believe in Kimchi. He just proves to be able to achieve anything he sets his mind to. A great lesson overall to learn from these games, and one that maybe Serbia needs to take to heart as Korea crush through the base. They take out both Nexus turrets and the Nexus as well. South Korea will be your League of Legends champions for the 9th Esports World Championship.
And they do it in such fine fashion. Both of those games were just so well coordinated between all 5 of those members. But if you had to give an MVP to anybody on these 2 teams, you have to say that it has to be Kimchi consistently throughout both of the games that he's played in the finals. The first one, he absolutely crushed with the Jace. But in the second one, even to finish off with style points, riposting a trap that he dashed over to get the stun. I mean, this guy has been flexing his mechanics all day.
You repost every Jarvan flag and drag. You repost, like you said, that final one, really the icing on the cake. A clinic put on in the top lane, but a team effort overall. And you can see lots of satisfaction from the Korean roster, of course, certainly from their coach as well. A victory still as sweet as ever. And for South Korea, they maintain their dominance in League of Legends at the IESF 9th Esports World Championship. 8th, 7th, 6th, it keeps going. It's all South Korea. And so it really does show what kind of a dynasty can be built here. They claim the championship once again, but for Serbia, the story is still, they advanced to their highest placement of all time here in the Esports World Championship. And so you have to think to yourself, well, if they keep improving, if teams like Israel kind of really come out to impress us here, the level of play is rising elsewhere, but for Korea, they are still at the top.
Of course, but you got to give kudos over to the other teams. You know, they have their own style. They've been playing in their own home country. They've been perfecting it within their own region. And the fact that they can come onto the world stage and not really falter in terms of giving way and saying, well, that's the way that those guys play, so we sort of have to adapt. The fact that they keep to their guns and they play the way they came to play as, you really have to say that they have done an excellent job at this tournament.
Absolutely. And so the top three placing will be South Korea, Serbia, and China. Another team that also proves that they are able to improve their place, improving over their 5th through 8th finish last year, coming out with a top 3 finish to represent their country here at the 9th Esports World Championship. All 3 great nations for esports in many different disciplines. And so it's exciting to see them all finish so highly here in League of Legends.
And they all perform so well, Rapid. I mean, turning my memory back over to this entire tournament, you've got to say that there were quite a few shockers. And I'm not talking about just plays, I'm also talking about picks. You've got the Tryndamere mid. You've just got all of these things that came out left, right, and center. But, you know, it all culminated until this very event that you can see before your eyes.
Absolutely, and this is a look at today's final result, a 2-0 victory for Korea over Serbia. And there were signs of life kind of in both games, mostly in the second one, as Serbia started to see some signs of life, and this is exactly what we just finished talking about. The final results for the League of Legends competition at the 9th Esports World Championships here in Busan for 2017, South Korea, Serbia, and China are your top 3 countries.
And from their performances in this tournament, they have all deserved these places, Rapid. I mean, you could see every single play that came out from all of these players. They have given it their all. They have played throughout the entire year, performing just for this one event. And what a place to be.
And it has been a great place to be. We can see a look at what is coming up next immediately following this League of Legends Grand Final. We will have the Grand Finals for Counter-Strike Global Offensive coming up next between Romania and Russia. That is going to start at 3:30 p.m. Korean Standard Time. There's also lots of other great esports events, even finals going on at the same moment, at the same day. It's a great day for esports, and it's a great day to be down here in the esports city of Busan to wrap things up on the final day of the 9th Esports World Championship.
I cannot wait to see the rest of this entire tournament, but at the very least, at the conclusion of League of Legends, you gotta say, we saw some really high-level League of Legends from start to finish.
It's been high-level play, it's been high-level casting. It's been a pleasure to be here with you, Preacher. It's been a great time down here in the beautiful city of Busan, and we look forward to even more esports action continuing as we close things out for League of Legends and move in to the CSGO final coming up. So big thanks to everybody who has watched us broadcasting here for our first finals. We'll have another finals coming up. Thanks for watching here in Busan or online, wherever you are. We hope you have a great rest of the tournament.